support the Contra Costa County Board of Supervisors. And we'll start off our meeting with a roll call. Edgar,
All right, Thomas Lang,
present.
George Cleveland, Susan Boudreau, Jim Herman, Dr. Melinda McLean,
She wrote in.
okay, Mickey Norris, Tom Owens, Shirley Rosenthal Winston, Emily Whelan. All right, so Sue is absent but excused. Tom Owens is absent, not excused, and Dr. Melinda McLean is absent but excused. We have a quorum.
Dude.
Yep.
Okay, Edgar, treasury report.
We have $3,000 in the treasury report. In the treasury, we haven't used any of our funds, but I think it's worth mentioning that we had, I met with John in regards to the business cards, because they were asking whether we can get business cards. And it looks like that is within one of the things we can use our budget for. So we're working on a concept right now, and then as soon as that gets approved, we'll see what the quote is and we'll present it to the MAC. And if you folks want to use your funds for that, we will do so.
Minutes for January.
Oh, did not, I don't, we can push those to next
Okay,
month.
so we'll
Yep.
push that to next month. Okay, so we'll start off with our presentations. So Edgar, you are going to deliver Supervisor Joya's presentation on the county budget, other county updates.
Yep, so I will start with the sheriff's department. I know there's a representative here from the sheriff's office. So I'll touch on a couple of items and feel free to go over any of the items that I'm touching on. So the County Supervisor John Joya asked each department to provide a quick budget report, given that there's going to be a budget hearing for the county on the 24th and the 25th of April. So we got a couple of bullet points from each department. I'll start off with the sheriff's department. The base station is currently staffed with the following personnel: 5 sergeants, 35 deputies are assigned to patrol and service areas, which we consider beats, which are now 7 beats in total. Those range from Rodale, Terra Hills, El Sobrante, North Richmond, East Richmond Heights, Rollingwood are all 1 beat, considered the 4th beat. Beat 5 is Crockett, Port Costa. Beat 6 is Rodale and Crockett. Beat 7 is Montalvan Manor, Terra Hills, Monterey Bay, and Bayview. All right, so the sheriff's department is participating in a few community events, one of them being the El Sobrante Stroll, the office of the sheriff's shop with the sheriff, Operation Clear Track. The office of the sheriff's department participates in the Operation Clear Track, an annual safety and educational event run by Amtrak designed to increase general knowledge and safety related to the railways and railroad crossings. Base station participates in the event annually, distributing flyers and conducting educational contacts in communities on the county's west end. National Prescription Drug Take Back. The base station participates in the National Prescription Drug Take Back annually. Base station will be staffing the event on April 22nd from 10 to 2 p.m. in front of the West County Detention Facility, 5555 Giant Highway, Richmond, California. All right, other events to note, towing of recreational vehicles. So the sheriff's department, I'll actually let the sheriff's office talk about, I don't want to give the report. I know there's a representative here, but so that's the essence of the budget update that the sheriff's department gave us. Animal services. So for the fiscal year of 23-24, recommended budget proposals, adding 5 positions to enhance the field and shelter services. The proposed staffing increases were agreed upon with the Contra Costa County Public Managers Association as part of the budget development process. More details about the positions are provided. And so added a 3.0 FTE animal service officers to expand the beat coverage and support target goals for the priority 1 response times. Add a 1.0 FTE animal center supervisor who will work with the animal center coordinator to strengthen existing program services for approximately 5,000 lost and found animals from our contracted cities and unincorporated areas. Those cities are majority, from my understanding, are the cities within the county. I believe that there's one city that's not a part of this contract with the county, but I could be wrong. And there's more in detail, which was sent to the council members and will be posted online for the public to read. I'm scrolling down to the rest of the report. I apologize. All right, I know there's folks here from Confire, so I will quickly touch on some items because I know they're going to report on some stuff as well. So this is the Consolidated Fire District Report regarding Measure X wildfire mitigation projects and programs. Crew 12, Confire staff hand crew, year-round hand crew funded by Measure X funds, which is $2.5 million annually, 16 people per day, a total of 32 employed, sorry. The program and project support, again, and I just want to, this is all sounding like random data, but this is just information of how the budget is being used and proposed for the upcoming fiscal year. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mickey. Okay, and then we have programs and projects supported through the Measure X funds through Confire, and that is the neighborhood chipping days, shade fuel break work, evacuation route cleanup, support of Firewise community work projects, clearing of down trees, and mutual aid to public works during recent storms. Another $2 million goes to the wildfire mitigation programs. The district funded $260,000 for the annual cost of the countywide zone heavy evacuation systems, multiple evacuation routes, improvements, and cleanup projects throughout the county. In West County, this includes El Sobrante, the Sobrante Avenue and Skyline Drive area, Castro Ranch Road, Wild Canyon Road, Galbraith Road to South Rancho Road, and a couple of the wildfire mitigation programs are the fire danger signs, which are provided and installed in West County, the Firewise community project that are supported throughout the county. Specifically in West County, that's the Parkside Drive project, vegetation management and fuel reduction projects, and large projects management and implementation. That is essentially the board of directors are approved and contracted with CEQA environmental consultants, which is necessary for any governmental agency to perform large fuel reduction and mitigation projects. Okay, thank you. And there's, all right, and fiscal information, this is just information for you to know. 2.8 million of the combined 4.5 million annual allocation has been spent through March of 2023. And that's what we have for the county county budget update from Confire. Now I'm gonna go to the library. I know that Tom is here from the library. I don't know if he wants to give it, but I have a couple of bullet points that was provided. Okay, so the El Sobrante Library, nope, I'll let you handle that. I'll let you speak on that. This is just basic information that we have in terms of the after-school student meals, after-school programs. So I'll let you say that since you have your presentation. All right, now I'm gonna go to the public works update on El Sobrante. Illegal dumping maintenance will continue to respond to illegal dumping requests as usual, working with franchise haulers when applicable to address illegal dumping. The homeless embankment, we will continue to embait homeless encampments as requested along public road right-of-way and flood control right-of-way. We continue to see chronic homelessness at the typical locations in El Sobrante, including on the creek near the library. We work with HSD Corps, which is the Health Service Department's homeless task force, to help get assistance for the homeless populations throughout El Sobrante and the entire unincorporated county. Weed abatement, surface treatment, storm drainage, and a future transportation project pending available funds for a 5-year plan. The exact project construction date has not been established. It will be along Appian Way, a pedestrian crossing enhancement project proposed to be funded with TDA funds and the gas tax. I know that was just an inflow of information, but this report will be available on the El Sobrante MAC webpage. If not tonight, it will be there early tomorrow morning, and it will go more in detail on all the items that I've touched on, and it will also be available for the MAC members. So that is the county report. I know it's a lot, so I can take questions and try to answer them.
Thank you, Edward. I just have the first question, and given the state's looming budget deficit, do you anticipate any impacts on the county budget in the coming fiscal year?
I don't have the answer to that, but I can take note of it and pass it over to John and have John respond to that.
So questions from the back, Jim, Joel? Any questions for Edgar or the audience? All right, Edgar, thank you so much for your report. And now we'll move to Chief Stark from the Contra Costa Fire Protection District. Chief Stark, welcome.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me okay over the internet connection here?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. I hope I'm not on too big of a screen there. I'm not much to look at. It's been a long time since I've sat with you folks. I was a battalion chief out at 69 and Battalion 7 several years ago, and I've done a few of these meetings in the past. So I'm trying to go off of memory of what I thought you guys like to hear. So I got a couple points to go over, some specific to El Sobrante, and then a few just district updates for you. I'll start off with, I guess I should start off with my name. Charles Stark. I'm a deputy chief with the Contra Costa Fire Protection District. I'm in charge of the operations section for the district, so I cover basically any emergency vehicle that's out on the road, the stations, the helicopters, bulldozers, whatever we got that responds to emergency incidents. Those folks report to me. So I'll start off with some El Sobrante specific items, if you don't mind. Go over the quarterly call volume for the Station 69 area. Might be of some interest to you folks. So I tabulated a few things this afternoon that show the quarterly runs for January, February, and March. April's not quite done and they're not quite in the system, but overall in the small little town there of El Sobrante, we ran 564 calls in a 3-month period. Fortunately, there were no significant incidents such as structure fires or commercial fires that went to a working fire classification, which means they were actually verified something was on fire, although we did have 1, 2, 3, 4 responses for residential or commercial structure fires in the Station 69 or El Sobrante area. Overall, the large distribution of calls were medical in nature. Of course, that's always the case. I would venture to guess probably in excess of 87% of the calls in the Station 69 El Sobrante area are medical in nature. Going over staffing for the station in El Sobrante, the station is fully staffed with people bid in to that specific assignment, all 3 shifts. That means you have 9 people that are in there on a daily basis that are familiar with the area and the needs of what your citizens require. Interesting to note is that 2 recent people that accepted an assignment to the station are actually members that are new to our district that came in through an annexation with East Contra Costa Fire. So they are going from one side of the county completely over to the other side of the county to try to experience.
Can't talk right now. I'm trying to listen into the municipal meeting.
Mute yourself, please.
So that's something exciting that's going on with the district now with the infusion of new areas of the fire district and the fact that we're moving people around and they're seeing more areas of the county and being able to find their niche. Last little thing about El Sobrante, there are a couple little small construction projects that are either actively going to be taking place at Station 69 or are budgeted to start happening in the near future after the budgets are, gone through the process for next fiscal year. One of those that have currently gone on is a little bit of a retrofit to what we call our battalion chief's quarters at the station. I don't know if you all are aware, but the battalion chief or the supervisor, the lead supervisor for the battalion that you were in, used to have one person that stayed at that station. And the other two were stationed at 74 in Pinole, which was a closed station. With the Pinole station opening, we've moved all three of those battalion chiefs to Station 69. So on any given day, there's 3 folks on the fire engine and 1 chief officer at your station. The second construction item that will be going on is something scheduled for next fiscal year. That would be doing some retrofitting to the decon area and the fitness area in the station to make it more firefighter safe and allow them a better area to decontaminate and keep their equipment clean and ready to go. I can break this up and take questions about anything specific about El Sobrante if you want to do that now, or I can just finish up and catch them at the end. How do you want to do it?
I'll your report, sir, and then we'll ask questions at the end.
Okay. So I wanted, the chief wanted me to go over a couple items on his chief's report that he submits to the Board of Supervisors monthly. An operations update. One of the significant issues that's occurring within the fire district as a whole is our liabilities on the roadways. We've had several, I think it's upwards of 11 significant accidents on freeways over the past 8 years. And we've had another significant incident that happened last month on 680 in Walnut Creek, where we had roughly a $2.1 million ladder truck taken out of service, and unfortunately a loss of life of the citizen that ran into it. Of course, the loss of life is horrible, but it's also horrible that we're not going to be able to put that ladder truck into service for a significant amount of time. If ever, it's likely to be totaled. One of the difficulties we're having as a district as a whole is acquiring stuff, and it doesn't matter what that stuff is. If it's a hook for pulling ceiling or a ladder truck, everything's delayed. The last report we got on getting an apparatus from our manufacturer for a new ladder truck was going to be 46 months. That's quite a significant amount of time to be without a truck, and it's causing us a lot of operational difficulties, and we're having to do some things that we have not done in the past just to make the operation work. Some things we're doing to try to stay out of this situation. We're looking at acquiring a blocking vehicle to protect our apparatus and to keep the citizens that may happen to run into us a little bit safer. We're looking to purchase that on a grant, perhaps lease one. And then we're also working with the CHP to more quickly get our vehicles and personnel off the roadways to limit the amount of time that they're in danger. A training update from the district. We are well staffed going into the summer months. That's not been the case so much in the past couple of years. We've been running a deficit on staffing for a few years, but due to a lot of academies and a lot of full academies going through, the last one that graduated, I think 2 months ago, and then we have another one in March. That'll put us at full staffing, which we haven't been in for a long time. So that's going to be very fortunate for being able to upstaff additional resources that it's needed due to the wildland season that we always seem to encounter. The last operational point, and the one that's probably the most important to you and the citizens of El Sobrante, is the Pinole contracts for fire services. So that got implemented, went into effect in March. It's a huge deal for Pinole because they got an additional fire station. They had 73, they opened up 74, but really it's an amazing thing for the entire region out there. And the fire service, we're individual in the station areas when it comes to the single engine responses, the medicals and things of that nature. But when you get into the bigger incidents, it's really a team event, and you need multiple fire engines to mitigate a lot of the emergencies that we encounter. And having 74 in the area of El Sobrante is going to dramatically decrease the time that it takes us to get an effective firefighting force to the areas in El Sobrante in order to be more efficient in our mitigations of fires, rescues, anything of that nature. So that went into effect in March. It's staffed by 3 firefighters. They have a type 1 engine and a type 3 engine. And I looked at the stats, and just in the 2 months that they've been there, 74 has been utilized to run an incident in El Sobrante on 7 occasions. I didn't look at the specifics, but what that likely means is that either 2 calls occurred in the area, or 69 was out of service for some other reason, and 74 was a closer resource. So already in 1 month's time, a little over 1 month's time, we've already had 7 instances where that fire engine being in Pinole has helped with the response times in El Sobrante. So while it's a big deal for Pinole, it should be a big deal for you folks as well. And I think you're going to see the benefits going down the road. That is about it. I know that the speaker before had a lot of information on Measure X. I hadn't been told to prepare to present that. I thought that was coming from the county's office. I can answer questions related to the fire department's usage of Measure X to the best of my ability if you had it. Otherwise, I'm open to any other questions you have.
Well, thank you so much for your presentation, Chief Stark, and thank you for everything the Fire Protection District is doing on our behalf. So what I'd like to do first is open up and see if there are any questions from the council, and it looks like maybe
Yeah.
this question.
I'm not sure if this is really something you can address or not, but I'm wondering what's happening on San Pablo Dam Road by La Honda. There was a gas leak, and I don't know if you deal with gas leaks or if that's just PG&E or, but there's also like a sinkhole or something over there. So I was wondering, it's all coned off right now, so I don't know if there's any information on that from anybody else on this call as well.
I have not heard anything in regards to that. We do respond to natural gas when they break initially, just until they're secured,
Yeah.
but we're not typically around for the mitigation and the repair of the line. What you're describing almost sounds more like a water line breakage in a sinkhole to me. I've seen several of those. We've had a few of those occur throughout the district, either due to storm drains collapsing or water pipes breaking. So it could have something to do with water and not natural gas. I'm just guessing on that.
Well, it could be both, because I did smell gas and I heard that there was a gas leak there. So-
Okay. Well, oftentimes they do commingle these pipes too. So if there's structural instability of the soil, it could affect a lot of utilities.
Where is
So
it,
I've
Mickey?
asked Edgar to take that one down, and hopefully we can
Dam
get an
Road and
answer.
La Honda.
Yeah.
Damn road.
Gas leak, phone dog.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Are there, Jim, George, any questions?
Other than thank you, Chief Stark, for your work as always.
Yep.
Any other questions, Chris?
Yeah, thank you for your report, and I'm wondering, with all the rain this year, is there if there's any extra things to do to mitigate the single family? On the one hand, we're gonna have more brush and stuff to deal with during the fire season, on the other hand, because it's been raining so much, maybe it's not as serious. I just was looking for anything you might have in that regard.
That is the conundrum right there. Too much rain is bad and too little rain is bad. Right now, we're in a good situation. All the fuels are absolutely wet. And even if you find dry spots in the soil, we've had folks out doing fire trail maintenance and they've gotten stuck. So there may be a dry crust on the ground, but if you go 2 or 3 inches and break that crust, you're going to get your car stuck. So there is still a lot of moisture in the fuels. Eventually that will go away. We're going to dry out. It's just our fire season is going to be later this year. The brush and the heavy timber, you probably have more heavy timber on your side than we do in the central and eastern parts of the county, but the heavy timber will probably stay drier longer, and you won't have to worry about fire so much in the timber area, but the grass is going to clear up just as quick, just as Fast as it always does. As soon as we get a couple windy days and a couple hot days, that grass is going to dry out. It's going to be a fire danger. So I guess the take home point is we still need to have that clearance. That's what's going to protect your homes, especially the light flashy fuels, the grasses and the light brush. The timber may not be so much of a problem this year, but everything's going to be a little later.
Thank you. Are there further questions?
I don't have a question, but it's a comment. Who was responsible for cutting back all the shrubs at the intersection of Appian and Dam Road? It's where you're gonna, when you come to, you're on Appian and you're gonna make that turn onto Dam Road. It's all those shrubs is right there, and the creek is down below.
That might be the county. If you can give me the address, I can.
For a lot of others, I've heard that.
Okay. You
It's
see,
in San Pablo.
I'll look into it.
Anybody online have any questions for Chief Stark? Doesn't appear so, okay.
Chief Stark, thank you so much for your presentation and for all the work the Fire Protection District does. So
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have the Bay Station represented by Sergeant Root. You need to unmute, please.
Yeah. I can ask them to unmute, but they'll have to unmute.
I guess maybe he's on it. Yeah, he
You're
is
still muted.
he's still muted.
Somebody asked me to unmute.
Oh, I'm wrong, sorry. Oh, there we go, Sergeant. There we go. Ask to unmute. There we go.
I asked because I know his thing is going on. Yeah, hard to concentrate on Chief Stark's report. Can you unmute him?
I can't unmute him. I can ask him to unmute, which I have. Sergeant Root, can you hear me? Can you please unmute your mic?
He doesn't, maybe he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Let's see, can I unmute?
So is it on the mute is on the lower left?
Now he's off the camera. Maybe he's asking someone else in the office to help him.
Do we want to just, while we sort out the technical difficulties, do we want to do the library presentation?
All right, do you guys hear me? There we go. I was trying to figure it out. I'm trying to use the computer at base station and it's just not working. I'm standing in for Lieutenant Rodriguez, who is not here today. I don't have a brief for you guys. He didn't leave me any information. I can explain to you what's been going on at base station and some of the problems we've been having. A lot of the calls for service are still the same. It's still the catalytic converter thefts, the breaking of car windows, people leaving stuff inside their car where it can be seen from the roadway. There really hasn't been any type of real violent crimes in El Sobrante over the last few months. I know you guys had touched on the dumping issue out off of Alhambra Valley and other places that are located within El Sobrante. Just so you know, one of our deputies today made a felony arrest out off of Alhambra Valley Road by Castro Ranch. An individual had been identified for dumping bags of soiled diapers out there. And so she was able to identify the subject that was responsible, and he was arrested for multiple violations to include a fish and game violation because he was dumping the diapers by the creek.
Oh, wow.
Other than that, the staffing levels that you had mentioned earlier with base station, yes, the beats have gotten, I don't want to say bigger, they've been divided into 7 beats, which is helping with the response and call times. It does put more deputies on the street throughout the shifts in base station. I don't have actual times in front of me or stats for the actual response time, so I can't really elaborate on that. But if you guys have any questions, I'll open it up for questions. I'll answer whatever questions you guys have. But like I said, Lieutenant Rodriguez didn't leave me anything for you to actually speak on.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming in and giving the rundown and for all the work you folks do. And I'd like to open it up to the council first. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Sergeant Root, for the illegal dumping arrest, what was it that elevated the arrest to a felony? Was it the dumping of by the creek? Is that what it was?
Yes, because normally just littering's a misdemeanor, it could be an infraction. The deputies had been trying to find ways to actually get people to jail because of the dumping. And we'd spoke about, other ways to do this, and one of them is actually used in the Fish and Game Code. When there's any type of waterway around where they're doing any kind of illegal dumping, whether it's fuel, oils, any type of hazardous materials, biological materials. And it just so happened that the county had went out there and measured the distance from where the bags have been dumped to the creek, and it was something like 65 feet. And so the deputy, when she had spoke to the county about this, and she identified the subject, she went and spoke to him, and they actually admitted they've been dumping this trash out there over the last 5 weeks. So he was arrested and he was booked into our jail for 2 felonies for the trash he's been dumping out there off Alhambra Valley.
Okay, thank you. It's good to know because that's actually not a great distance. I work for East Bay Land. That's not too far from our watershed lands.
Yeah.
So it's good that that person's gonna face some consequences for that type of.
Yeah.
That's just wrong, dumping in general is wrong, but dumping that.
Yeah, there was apparently the family has a bunch of little kids, set of twins and another child that I believe was under a year. And they they must go through a lot of diapers because they're dumping a lot of bags out there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Sergeant.
All right.
Good.
So any questions from our folks here in the audience?
Anybody online have any questions for Sergeant Root? It doesn't appear to be.
All right. Sergeant, thank you so much for your presentation, and please give our best to Lieutenant Rodriguez.
Thank you for stepping in on his behalf. We appreciate hearing from you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Okay, so we'll move to the next item on the agenda. The Contra Costa County Library Community Library Manager, Tom Sween.
Thank you. Can you all hear me online? Awesome. Good evening, council members and guests. My name is Tom Schween. I'm the community library manager here at the El Sobrante Library. I've been working here for the last 7 years. And I come here today to introduce myself and share a bit about our programming landscape with all of you. We're gonna have slides.
Yes, I'm pulling this up
Okay.
just now.
They'll come. You'll see
They
the
will,
colors soon.
yes.
But I'll move on.
Okay.
So kangaroos, golden eagles, bats and giant millipedes, puppet shows, acrobats and magicians, book club, story time, homework help, jewelry making, rock hounding, firefighters and a fire truck, and a lot more. In-person library programming restarted last summer in July 2022. And I'm happy to report that attendance at our big youth services events has doubled since before the pandemic, before the remodeling, before the fire, that period when I was first hired, it's doubled since then at our big youth services events. And we have a dedicated team, and we're now expanding our offerings to include monthly events for all ages. So every month, and I put some flyers up here. There's some program calendars there that you can pick up. Every month we have monthly events for all ages, adults, teens, and kids. And now I want to tell you a story. So on a recent busy weekday afternoon, I walked out of my office into the library and I looked over at the entrance, and a young man entered the library and he had a bouquet of flowers. And he made a beeline across the library to one of the work tables where we set up our homework help club. And he gave the flowers to council member Sue Boudreau, who also happens to be a very dedicated volunteer here at the library. And I later learned that Sue and the Homework Help Club had helped this young man not only improve his grades, but achieve some remarkable academic success. And I tell you this story because it illustrates that our community is our library and our library is our community.
we're here to connect our patrons with the educational, informational, and recreational resources they seek. We're here to help. So I invite you all to visit and pick up a monthly program calendar from our service desk. If you see me, please say hello. A couple announcements. Tomorrow, we begin our free student meals, our free after-school student meals. Well, there's two booths up in the right-hand corner with the gentleman I spoke about. And there's some copies of our program calendars this year.
Okay.
April 23rd to 29th is National Library Week. National Library Week celebrates services and programs that the library provides. And it's celebrated by the American Library Association and libraries across the country. And this year, the theme is there's more to the story. And there truly is so much more to the story here at the El Sobrante Library, and lots of stories. You can help us celebrate by sharing our offerings with your friends, family, and community, and visiting us. And now I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. I don't have a question, just a compliment. I love the library. Our whole family does, and just congratulations on running such a great facility.
Thank you. It's my honor.
Any questions, comments?
Are you going to bring the kangaroo here?
We're gonna bring the kangaroo back maybe this summer, so we're working on a grant for $3,000 to have a summer full of events for the kids and for families. So that was a really popular event. So
Alex here.
yeah, all of the animals that I mentioned, all the programs that I mentioned, we've done all of those here at the library since last summer. And actually, tomorrow is the first day of free student meals, and tomorrow we have a magician. I understand he's hilarious. His name is Steve the Magic Guy. It's at 3:15, and he's also known as Mr. Horse Feathers. So comes to highly recommend.
George or Jim, any questions, comments?
Thank you for your work.
Yeah.
You're
welcome.
As an educator, I have one question. Do you give these flyers out or take them to the school sites, especially
So we give them out at the service desk. Sometimes we have school visits and we'll pass them out to the teachers who visit. But that's a good idea. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. What if you, magician, if he wants to do a few tricks on Earth?
Questions or comments from the audience?
Is there anybody online that wants to comment,
Let's
or
see.
question, or say anything? There they are. Anybody online have any questions or comments for Mr. Schween? Doesn't appear to be. Okay.
Well, I would just like to kind of, how much we really appreciate you guys. We're so supportive. We've had such a great relationship with the Green Team and the library. Better than we could have ever asked for. So I know you do a lot of community building, and another thing is you have test the tables in the front there where people can put out literature and pick up Richmond newspapers or something like that too as well. So it's, I think you provide a really big service to the community, and I hope you realize how much we all appreciate it.
Thank you. We're so happy to host your monthly community cleanups. It brings our community to the library. So, thank you. And partnering with you on the big community cleanup and celebration on Earth Day on the 23rd, it's going to be so exciting. We're going to put out a lot of book displays for all ages on Earth Day and climate and the seasons. So definitely everybody come out, and we invite you into the library. After you don't have to stay outside and clean up and do the outdoor celebration. Come on in. It's an open house during all of our open hours.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your presentation and for everything you do. Okay, so the next item in the agenda are the discussion items. We have one of them. So these are development plan applications, variance reports, building modification requests, appeal, etc. Received in the previous month from the Conservation and Development Department, and notices of public hearing. We have today file number CDVR 23-01022, which is to request approval of a variance application to allow a 5-foot front setback where 20 feet is the minimum to replace the existing retaining wall with a maximum height of 9.5 feet. And I'm wondering if the project engineer or the property owner is here to, okay. Could you perhaps introduce yourselves and go ahead and tell us about your project?
Sure, yeah, I'm Cameron Reed,
Amelia Catholic. So we live on Rincon Road and our house is sort of below the street level. And this existing driveway that's been there 90 years, it's built in the 30s. Sort of created a driveway. I have a photo I can show you, but there's been a wall there that allows the driveway to exist, and it's simply failed. So we're replacing that, and of course, there's no record of it. It was from the 30s. So now we have to get a building permit because it's within setbacks. If we built it 20 feet away with the side setback, it would be in our house. So we are just applying for a permit.
So basically, it's replacing a structure that's there, but because it's so old, it's undocumented, you need to replace it when it's failing.
Exactly.
Okay.
You don't want to drive into your consider, but yeah.
For the world that was there now.
Yes.
All right. Personally, as long as everything is in compliance with engineering standards, which it will be because it'll be reviewed by that group. I certainly have no issues with this, and I'd like to move that we give our support to the project.
I'll second that motion.
No, it's just, I was-
Looks like we have a unanimous vote of support. Good luck in your project.
I'm glad I brought us here. It's really cool.
Okay, so that takes care of, that was an easy one.
Yep.
So information reports by MAC members. So I have one information report, just regards myself. I just joined the Area Council on Aging, which is an advisory group to the Area Agency on Aging, which is affiliated with our county public health department. And so I'll be working on the health working group on that committee. And I'll look forward to periodically updating the SMAC on that. And, my interest will be kind of advocating for improvements and enhancements of oral health programs for seniors. That's kind of gonna be my passion there. So that's my information item. Any other MAC members have anything?
That's good that you joined that.
Yeah, it's like,
Thank you for that.
yes, if I'm part of that aging group, that's nice to know.
I'm not there yet. but-
No, you're innocent, so George.
Hey.
Well, I consider myself part of that group, so maybe it's self-interest. Okay, any other information items, MAC members? Okay, subcommittee reports. Nikki, looks like you have an item regarding regular litter cleanups.
Yeah, we have a regular third Saturday cleanups. However, this month, we are not having our third Saturday cleanup because it's going to be on the fourth Saturday for Earth Day, and you're all invited to participate in our community-wide cleanup, and we're partnering with spawners that's going to be cleaning up the creek. And SOS Richmond, that's going to be concentrating on a couple homeless encampments in the area. They'll be gathering their trash, and they're going to help us collect trash around the area. So if people come to the library and Saturday, April 22nd at 9:30, we'll have sign up in the parking lot here. And you can check out and borrow grabbers, vests, buckets, gloves, and figure out a location that you'd like to help clean up that day, either in the streets or the creeks with spawners, and there's going to be a small contingency here at the library, doing some gardening, making sure it all looks nice. And it's our tribute to Mother Earth on Earth Day. And that the cleanup, the community cleanup will be going on from about 9:30, 10 until noon. People come back here to the library for our program. And we're very excited to have a dance performance by Reach Out Mode, the students there from the after school program. We're gonna have some music by Chris and Louise playing some guitar. But we're gonna have lots of info tables, and it's gonna be a very good community building event at the library. As Tom mentioned, is going to have some book displays relevant to Earth Day, and they're unveiling an art installation of their origami art. We're also going to have some children's activities in this room right here, led by Sue Boudreau, who's been leading the tutorial program here at the library, which she's going to lead an art activity using recyclable art. And we're also going to have the ability to make some bird feeders out of pine cones and peanut butter and seeds, and it should be lots of fun. And on top of all that, we're going to have electric bike and electric car demonstrations here too, to encourage students and some people here to answer your questions if you have some about how that all works. So that's our Earth Day event, and that's from the program, the after cleanup program will be from noon to 2. And we'll have a dumpster in the parking lot to collect all the bags that people, trash and litter that people collect on that day. So we encourage everybody to come take some pride in El Sobrante and make our area as clean and help out our environment here, because we do have all these creeks around that trash is getting into, and we don't want that to flow back out into the ocean as well. So there's that. I don't, last time, because usually I give this report at the very end when it's like everybody's exhausted, but I thought I'd just give a brief update on our last subcommittee meeting that we had on March 13th. And we had it in person here. And for what we decided to do is expand our cleanup efforts by having, maybe we're going to consider doing an adopt a drain program so that people clean out the storm drains. Some ideas that were shared were getting the schools, somehow or another, getting the schools more involved with taking care of their properties, because we've noticed that when schools are in session, the areas around the schools tend to get more litter. So we're going to try to make an outreach to the schools. And it's been challenging even to get an email or an answer from a principal at a school at De Anza High and maybe Murphy as well. Also, maybe Edgar has a question that has some information on the trash cans downtown. Is any movement on that one, that they were getting destroyed and people cannot use them well, or they could not be collected?
Right.
And we need those to be functioning or replaced with something that is more functional. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, like I mentioned during the subcommittee, and I might have mentioned this in the chamber. I don't think I was at the Chamber of Commerce meeting, but so there's these trash cans that are along San Pablo Dam Road, and what's happening is that they're taking out the bins from inside, so all the trash is just spilling everywhere. And the Chamber of Commerce contacted Supervisor Joyce's office to see if there's a way that Public Works can kind of change the trash cans or find a solution where the trash is not going to be all over the place. What Public Works did a quick history search and found out that those trash cans are actually the responsibility of the chamber. So, so it turns out that's responsibility of the chamber, that there was a agreement made when they applied for a grant and they were installed through that grant, that the chamber would take responsibility of them and do any kind of maintenance and services to them outside of the contract that's provided with Republic Services. So that means that whatever that's going to be done to those trash have to be done with funds that are provided through the chamber. So that's where the County Public Works Department left it. So essentially they gave the ball back to the Chamber of Commerce, which I'm not sure. I don't know if Nicole reported this at the last meeting. I wasn't there. We weren't, either of us weren't there. So now the question is, the Chamber of Commerce is going to have to find a solution to get that resolved, which I'm a part of the chamber, somewhere in different hats. And this is something that the chamber is going to have to take responsibility for if they want to get it, they want to get those trash bins changed or removed or, anything like that. And that will have to do with some kind of fundraising. So that's essentially the crux of that issue. And if I can, I want to just give a quick update that we're working on a dumpster day with where we'll have both trash and metal dumpster days. The day we were able to pin down with the folks who we're partnering with is July 8th. So it's sometime, it's a couple of months away. So I'll just leave that there. And when we get closer to the date, I will provide a additional report.
So the May 13th date.
No, Sims didn't have, they weren't available that day. So.
Okay, that's cool. Give people some morning. The other part of our committee was the beautification ideas, and we had a presentation by Serge Luskin from Triangle Works. And there's going to be an effort to try to get murals and grants for these murals close to the Triangle area at where Appian and
Big walls.
yeah, some of those big walls. I think they're on the outside of that Christian high school. They're working with a professional muralist, and I think they're still trying to raise the money for that. So we'll see. And the design has not been determined yet, but the goal is to have more murals around town in various places, maybe downtown as well, to make our town a little more interesting. And somebody brought up that there could be grants available from like Home Depot even to donate paint and things like that. Other ideas were to paint utility boxes and on street corners and paint street sign poles. I don't know if we could do these things, but these are some ideas that were thrown out there. And let's see, yeah. So we identified some different areas, and some people were hoping to maybe get some sculptures in town. Maybe utilize that area on San Pablo Dam Road that has that interesting kind of tie gate. To do something there to make it more of a community center kind of, or a place where people will know to gather. So or put out information and things like that. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Also, I forgot to mention that there'll be some food on Earth Day as well for our participants, to thank them when they come back. They'll be hungry from all the great work that they're doing for the community that day. And we wanted to thank everybody for that. But there's going to be a lot of interesting info tables for people to gather. So some public speakers, John Joy is coming. There's other people from the community that's going to be speaking. So hey, Lavana, the Richmond City Councilwoman for this area, and Tom Schween and other people. So anyway, I just encourage you all to come. April 22nd. It's our big effort. We have them twice a year, one on Earth Day and one on National Coastal Cleanup Day in September. This year it's going to be there the day before the stroll. And so the town should look pretty nice for the stroll that day. And hopefully we'll be participating again in the stroll and in the parade. Because we have such outstanding spirit in this whole thing. So, does anybody have any questions about Earth Day or a cleanup? Third Saturday, next one will be the regular third Saturday.
Questions for Nikki from audience?
My question is there an auto club here in the area, in the Ellsbury area that may want maybe one of their super classic cars painted on a mural? And they donate money?
So you're saying that basically they have a car.
No, I'm asking, is there a?
Is there a close?
Yeah.
So I'll pass your question on to Jean Tapia, who organizes our car show for this book.
Oh, yeah.
She knows these different.
Yeah, so what you're saying is find a car that looks really good and make a mural of that vehicle.
Yeah, and but ask them for a donation.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
That's
That's a great idea.
So I'll forward that on to Jean and see what he comes back with.
I've had some students trying to talk to me about art.
Yeah, if I could follow up on some of what Mickey was saying there, because it's like our experience of getting this involved with the cleanup projects and how we're like trying to go at this point, which is just, of course, we started just cleaning up our own neighborhood volunteers, but then we found the green team. And since we connect with them, we've gotten the coalition, the spawners and other groups and getting a lot, trying to list more business support. Which has been helpful, and the Chamber of Commerce has been particularly helpful in that whole process of it. And then we started expanding into the community events, where we're doing like 3 or 4 major events a year. I call based here at the library because we got the relationships with the library that we developed. And then the idea is to continue building a sense of community, and that's why the beautification process becomes part of the same discussion. The way that we're trying to get out the information right now, like for Earth Day, we've got banners around town, we've got posters in stores, and we've got flyers. What we don't really have is a good method of distributing the flyers. And Joya's office has been very helpful in terms of printing things for us as we go along too. And the other thing we're doing is getting into newsletters, like the Chamber newsletter covers us, the library's newsletter covers us and so forth. But we want to expand on that some more. And then the other thing is we do a lot of work on Nextdoor with memes and postings and now creating events in order to draw more people in on this whole thing.
Here's a thought. Have you ever worked with the San Pablo EDC, the Employment Development Commission? So the San Pablo EDC has quarterly mailings that go out, and I think they reach about 30,000 people. And what I'll do is, I remember there was a person, because we had somebody working with us in the chamber who put our scroll flyer through the EDC. And so I think I remember some of the people that are copied on emails. So I'll send you their names. I think I have your email.
Yeah, we'll just get
for
to
these
the
meetings.
and then thank you very much. That's really great. Anybody who has any ways of getting it out, like we put flyers here and we're putting them around, like, and we also this time have a Spanish language, and I don't know if you're the one who translated. Supervisor Toya's office did it.
It was Sonia, yeah. I was abroad.
Okay, but in any case, that's really nice. But so we've got that like El Trompudo, and I guess we should try to get some more of the Mexican restaurants in order to try to engage the Latin community a little bit more, Latino. And again, this is something where any help that we can get, how do we do this, this kind of outreach and get more of those kind of things.
So the owner of El Cerro, the taqueria on, I think it's on Appian, no, Valley View.
Yeah.
Los Cerros, Eduardo, I think his name is, a very nice guy. He's been super helpful, he's a member of the chamber.
And that's really good. And then, what? Oh, yeah, and of course, we have a website, which it includes listings of community events, including the ESMAC meetings and a lot of things like that as well on that, and plus the postcard with all the information. There's a lot I could obviously go into, but what I just wanted to do in terms of wrap up, though, where I was going with this is that, so as we're always looking for other ways to get things out there. And one of the things has to do with the idea of the public art that we've been talking about, the beautification, including maybe some signage. And Supervisor Joy's office has spoken about possibly getting some county funding for identifying the community movement. Oh, last thing I want to say before that has to do with that it seems to me like there we see that the communities where people own their homes tend to be cleaner than the communities where we have renters. So I feel like we need to have some kind of outreach into the renter community. Plus, I think they move more often, and a lot of the dumping that we seem to find, it seems to be related to people moving. So this is another area that we haven't found the outreach method to do it yet. But then getting back to the idea about the public art, we had talked at another point about having like some kind of thematic approach to the way we put public art around, like people wanted to be able to art or whatever, that maybe we could have pick out some colors and things like that, some kind of a branding that we can put into it, as well as into the public art that start to develop along the way. And I'm not sure, I don't remember if there's anything in the plan, the community plan or whatever, it talks about those kind of things. I know we talked about the appearance of the town and how to improve, getting a consistent look to the town and improving it is part of the general plan's strategy. I don't know if it has colors or something like that, but I suggest we might want to look into it from that point of view, look what the general plan has to say as we move forward, the idea of maybe it's a public art. And that's there was something that from the committee that we've been talking about.
Thank you. There's any comments from online or your?
Sergeant Root was on a
Eric?
very meeting. This is a little known thing that has happened recently in 2020. The 38th state ratified the Equal Rights Amendment. It was Virginia. So now all of the qualifications required to get an amendment to the Constitution have been met. However, Congress had in 72 and then changed in 80, put a time limit on passing the ERA, and that time limit is passed. However, there are constitutional scholars that believe they didn't have the power to do that. So it is thought by constitutional scholars that the President of the United States has the power to put it on in the Constitution right now through the articles. And so write a letter to the President, ask him to use his power as the executive, since all of the requirements have been met by the Constitution. And the courts have weighed in against doing it, and Congress has, but the Constitution is always being interpreted by different lawyers in different ways, and there's a fair amount of legal scholars that say it's a go.
But hasn't gone to the Supreme Court yet.
If
I'm sorry, yeah.
If the president,
We have to keep,
yeah.
We're actually on the agenda on subcommittee.
Right,
reports.
Oh, I thought
exactly.
you were
No.
On the announcement.
No.
No.
Okay, so
To ask the map here, if they would have a table at the Earth Day event. Sue
Yeah.
and I are gonna be busy
Mhm.
doing other things that day, but
Yeah.
I don't know if there's information that the map could be giving out, or
Yeah, I mean,
if people would like to come and.
Yeah.
introduce
that's very
themselves.
nice discussion.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that's just a matter of scheduling who can be there, who cannot be there, because we have a table.
okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
So
What do you mean? Volunteer snacks or water? What do you need?
I, for the map to just have some visibility and introduce that for the community so that they know we exist and can come to our meetings if they're interested or follow us on online as well. So, we're just making that outreach.
All right, so, I think we move to
Yeah.
public comment. So I think,
No.
yeah, I think we finished our subcommittee item.
Right.
There are no further
And next is agenda items.
Mhm.
agenda items.
Speakers are okay.
Yes, that's
So-
what we're doing.
Okay, so looks like Edmund on the budget and rates presentation will be on the next agenda. And I think maybe it would be good to have a comprehensive sort of public health report. There are changes in some of the COVID regs and there's some interesting information coming up regarding fungal infections. And so that might be relevant to kind of our county healthcare facilities.
Okay.
So we might want to have that. Good catch, thank you. I didn't miss that.
I have to catch that, it's my agents.
All right. Any other suggested agenda items? Okay, in that case, we'll move on to public comment. I think.
I want to give public comment.
Hmm?
I have public comment.
Okay, I just want to say, we already had the public comment.
Yeah. Good.
So go ahead, George.
Okay, a couple of things, it's sort of connected to these, but actually is, my agency for my work is 100. And they're having I guess you call it a public gathering, a public party on Sunday, May 21st. From 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's at the Tenniscounty Regional Recreation Area, which is kind of, what?
You may have to Berkeley Hill?
No, not quite the Berkeley, it's close though. It's a Tenniscounty Regional Recreation
Okay,
Area.
over there.
It's the one basically, if you're ever going on Highway 24 and you're about to go into Calvin it's off to the right. But it's from
That's still in Contra Costa County?
No, it's in Oakland. But it's,
Oh, it's definitely great.
Yes,
Okay,
so-
yeah.
yeah, so it's a party, it's a free admission. One of the interesting things there, if you choose, we got the idea from Bart when they turned 50. If you ever went to Costco when Bart was 50, you might have seen in the beer aisle, they had an IPA that had the Bart logo on it. So we developed our own beer in conjunction with Drake's Brewery because they're in San Leandro and they're using our water to brew their beer. And it's a lager, and you have to pay for it, of course, and you have to be of legal drinking age. But that's going to be something at this community gathering. So just put that up. The second thing that I want to discuss, is because we're meeting in person now, and what we've done at our in-person meetings on my first stint on this MAC and the second stint before COVID, we would start the meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. So hopefully we can restore that for those that want to cite the pledge to start the meetings. That's how we've done it. And we've stopped during COVID because we were meeting remotely. And we started meeting online, in person for the first time in 3 years last month. And so just sort of get our back into our regular flow, as it were.
I would agree with that. I thought that was a nice thing to do at the beginning of the meetings.
Okay, that's my public comment.
All right.
There's a comment there's a raised hand on the, on Zoom.
Okay,
Go ahead and,
he raised his hand. Okay, I thought that was like.
Mr. Bauer?
Yeah, hi, my name's Matt Spohr. I live at Appian Way in Allview. My concern is excessive noise enforcement. I actually came to the meeting in November to talk about this. And in November, I was told that this would be part of the county general plan that we would discuss early in the year. And we have not discussed it that I've seen. I was told that it would be on the agenda for this meeting and it was not on the agenda. So I'm wondering when we can discuss this.
Next meeting, we'll put it on the agenda. It's an item that we will add because agenda items, that's a bullet point. So we'll put it on the meeting. Edgar is right here and we will make sure to get it on the agenda for the next meeting. Thank you for bringing that to our.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, are there any further public comments?
Yes, comment is Jasmine. Shields, a few questions and concerns. In relations to the new businesses that come to Surprise, the county requires us to review the
the people in zoning and design guidelines would outline which businesses can and cannot, have a license, to operate in Casa Grande. From, what I've been told, those businesses are, there's two types of applications, there's a property use, which is a minor, and then there's the general application. Supposedly, no one's allowed to use the, well, three businesses, a complex home, and an ATM and a care facility are allowed to use the minor property use application. And everyone else is supposed to go through and do a general application. The issue with that is over 39 businesses were able to have their business approved using the minor application, the minor property use application. And so when I went to apply for my business, I told them to do it general, and I inquired, well, why? If the process is this, and they said, well, because, and you need to worry about your own business. And I said, well, that seems like a little bit of discrimination. Why are some businesses allowed to use the property use in order to get their license and permit to operate? I operate a space where we've done dance and yoga. I've done some baby showers. I've done a lot of community event and private events. I haven't had any issues. And so when I've had a compliance officer come out and red tag my building as a nuisance, and when I inquired as to why, I then visited the county, and that's where I was able to see the records of several businesses that did not have a general planning application on file. They had minor property use applications, including the liquor store that is below me. And so I want to know if you guys are aware that type of those practices are happening in Oso Grande?
No, but I think this would be.
I think
That's a case that
something
I can work on.
connect directly with Edgar, who works in Supervisor Joya's office. And I think that might be able to assist you in getting more of a direct response to your question. Probably
Okay,
more
well,
knowledgeable.
because I was told to be with you guys since
Right.
the P zoning and design that was adopted was made through here, correct?
So we review specific business applications from the point of view of community impact. So what we do is when a business comes in, for example, a liquor store that wants to get a liquor license, we do not make the decision in terms of granting them a liquor license. What we would do is discuss it within our council and then open the discussion up to the community, whether online or here, and then provide a few sentences to the county board, to the planning. What is the relevant board?
Planning, zoning.
The planning and zoning board as to community feedback. So that's kind of what we do.
But that's following what the land use metric is, and I guess that would be, I guess, the appropriate protocol. But based on what the land use is, if they're going to require some businesses to follow that and other businesses not to, that should be concerning because, this was drafted to be followed by the county.
It is. So I guess our feeling about that is that if this is the case, then yes, we would be concerned about it. But as a panel, we're not specifically knowledgeable about the particulars of which businesses have had these
Right.
granted and others. And I think that's something where you can take your specific concerns to Edgar
Right.
via email and get knowledgeable feedback where you would work directly with us as if you were applying for a license for your business. And then we would discuss that from the point of view of community feedback. We don't make the decisions.
We would discuss it from a procedural level.
We don't, yeah, that.
Right.
That's what you're talking about from a procedural level, we don't discuss that.
Right, so that's understandable, of course, if supposed to be handled through the county approval, the denial, but, you know, it would appear, I mean, it seems as if you guys should be notified if the county is not working with integrity based on what has been adopted for El Sobrante.
So that's a good point, and we're grateful to you for coming to us and pointing this out. I mean, we can't get back to you with specifics because we can't look at each individual case,
Yeah.
but I think we can give you the advice. You do have.
It's I guess essentially what they're saying is that this advisory body reviews applications that are sent through the county. Your case sounds like a very case-specific situation of more like a issue that's happening through the county's like processes. And that's when you work with John Joya's office, and we're more than happy to kind of figure out what's going on with your business in terms of the process, or if there's a countywide issue, what the supervisor has to do to introduce legislation or something to change that.
So.
Right. Yeah.
You know, as a committee, that you're aware that things are not.
Right, we don't, a lot of times, it's feedback like yours that lets us know that there's an issue, because sometimes we'll have, as Thomas said, we're an advisory board, so we don't have a mentioned way of power. And sometimes we find out things when people come to meetings. If we have a monthly meeting where there's 45 people in these chairs, it's like, okay, what's happening? And somebody, and there's only two things that we appreciate that you're telling us this, and we do want to do it better. The power, if you will, lies in the supervisor body.
Yeah, it's out of the scope of this body.
To sum it up, I think that, well, first of all, we're grateful that you brought this up. Now, this is something that we have in our mind when we consider business applications. But I think what you're talking about in your case is kind of like almost like an appeal. And
They're stating that they're going to review my application in 2 months. And so even with the timeline of when applications are submitted and when they are approved, it doesn't take 2 months, but they're telling me 2 months. So I realized that I may have some cases down at the county, and so, but I wanted to make sure that I have addressed and made known that there are some issues in El Sobrante in regards to new businesses that wish to come here and that are here, that are having some issues with the county and how they conduct.
What was your address?
3698 San Pablo Dam Road.
Oh, 36.
Okay.
so I think that you can get, even, if it's a question of fairness, not specifically the outcome of your application, the timing of your application, but a specific response to fairness. I think that Supervisor Joya's office is going to have the background to be able to get that to you.
Right, and they're just not following what the plan is that you kind of put together for us.
Oh, we thank you so much for coming and
Yeah.
bringing this up, and we've heard we hear you. Thank you so much. Oh, I think surely.
You told me the address.
Yeah, and just a follow up, maybe if there's a discussion of the general plan, this sounds like something that if we're following one course rather than the other, that maybe that's, as a community, maybe that's something that should be discussed. Maybe we should shift the way that this process works for our area. But it seems to me like talking about the general plan seems like a great time we want to discuss what she's talking about, because if there's a consistent pattern,
Right.
but then it's not always consistent, that's something we would like to see hammered out.
Enforcement of procedure isn't really something that we would even review. It doesn't come before.
Right, that's a different scope, yeah.
Being an attorney, I will tell you that we're not gonna make judgmental decisions on procedures in the county.
Yeah.
We like to know that they're not being followed, which is what you told us.
Right.
Yeah, and that's very important for us, but we don't have the ability to say, crack a whip at the county. It's better because of Edgar and John Joya, they have them know, and that's very beneficial because they can then go to the county and then see what the procedures are taking place and what are not. And
So they're your representatives.
and then, yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, let's follow up on that. Is this the right place for if you're having issues with the county? Like, is there separate?
Right, yeah, so essentially, yeah, thank you, Asa, that will clear this up. So essentially, this body advises for very specific items, they're like issues. to the Board of Supervisors. And one of them is like land use application proposals, like the one you folks have today. And it's also, and with those applications comes and the advisory body reviews them and gives a recommendation. And that recommendation is just one piece on the approval process. So it's very specific, and different municipal advisory councils have different roles. This MAC has the role to review those applications, as well as provide feedback on the subcommittee of beautification and legal dumping. And also other items like, be kind of a communication, a network to the community of what's happening, and, ways that we can better represent the community. Whenever it's like very case specific, for example, you're having an issue with a department within the county, that's when you contact your supervisor directly, Supervisor Joy's office, and you let him know. And if it's El Sobrante, I'm the district coordinator. So you will let me know, hey, this is happening with this department, or I'm having an issue in this way, or I think you should pass the legislation for the county that's in this way, and then we'll start working on that. And that's very case specific. This body, it's out of that scope, so.
Follow-up question. So the planning unit development guideline was adopted in 2013. Has it been updated? Is there any plans to update that? Because there are a lot of outdated things.
Right. So they don't have that answer to that question. Going back to like those questions are that question, is it going to be updated? They don't have the decision to that. The decision makers are the Board of Supervisors. So that would be John, right? And that's a question you can address to me, and I'll give you my business card, and I will forward that to John, and we'll have that discussion, and either John or I will respond to you. And that's something that, maybe it should be an update, right? And then that's just something that John starts to spearhead, or, just kind of what I'm saying is that that's outside of the scope of this group. But that's something that it seems like it's a. No. So that was put together with the Board of Supervisors, right? Everything, same thing with the general plan, Chris. So the general plan is very specific on terms of like land use designations and what is and when you're referring to our community profiles, right? Like what is very specific to El Sobrante that's not covered on a county-wide, right? For example, like if there's a ton of creeks here and nowhere else in the county, there should be something in the general plan specific to El Sobrante because there's all these creeks. So essentially what I'm saying is that these very case specific issues, that's outside of the scope of the advisory board, and the decision making of we need these policies. They can be communicated through the advisory, but it'll be more time efficient if you just go directly to the Board of Supervisors, which would be John's office if you live in this district.
So on the packet, it says that it was.
Right. We can have, I think, and for the sake of because this is the advisory, this is the meeting, we can have this conversation afterwards.
I'm just correcting you. It says.
No. Right. No, so I hear what you're saying. What I'm saying is that we're going through the meeting, and the meeting has a 2-minute minimum, which we have to start enforcing. What I'm saying is I'll talk to you after this meeting. But in terms of we don't have a discussion, this is just going through public comment. Folks give their comment, and this is something that's out of the scope of this meeting anyways. So yeah, Thomas, if you want to continue with the meeting.
So I think if are there any further public comment?
I'd just like to invite people to the Chamber of Commerce dinner fundraiser. There's going to be one following 5:30 on April 22nd. After you clean up and have fun at the Earth Day event that evening, there's going to be a fundraiser with the Chamber of Commerce for this community college scholarship fund, and $25. And I guess go to the Chamber of Commerce website for this sign up for that. And I'd also like to invite the public, anybody who's listening, or people have been, but that I view this body as well as to bring up your concerns, to us, so we know what's happening in this town. And if there's something we can advise about it, or just make other people aware about it, and I think it's a good thing for the community to have some kind of voice here with this group as well.
Any other further public comment? In that case, I think we can adjourn the meeting.
Wow.
So, you guys think.